for the show.
I don't know what he's fucking.
Didn't Furiosa bomb or something? I mean, can we get to the topic, bro? I mean, we're trying to talk about. I mean, shit. What'd you do this week? I want to know what you did this weekend. Can we get to the topic first, Jay Hill? He's excited. He's excited to talk about Furiosa. I'm excited to talk about Furiosa. So you know what? Fuck it, Tone. Let's get to our first topic. What do you know? We're talking about Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. We're going to do a little bit of a spoiler-free review. Just talk about our initial thoughts of it, how it kind of compares to the other Mad Max movies, most recently Fury Road. But this is directed by George Miller. This is his fifth go-around as the director of a Mad Max film. It stars Anya Taylor-Joy as Furiosa, Chris Hemsworth as Dementus, Tom Burke as Praetorian Jack, who we were trying to figure out the whole movie. He's like, where is this guy from? Like, and we know him, and we don't at all. Like, he's never been in anything of note. And Lachey Helm, who takes on the role of Immortan Joe, who took over for the original actor who passed away shortly or a couple years after Mad Max Fury Road. I still love the fact that Immortan Joe in Fury Road was played by the same guy who was the villain in the very first Mad Max.
That's funny.
Toe Cutter. I was like, that's fucking awesome that George Miller was like, hey, man, what are you up to? Well, you want to be my guy? He's got to wear a mask so they won't know it's you.
Why not?
Come back and be a villain again. But Tone, this is the origin story of Furiosa before her encounter with like Mad Max and everything that happened in Fury Road. We go way back to the Green Place, or her, how she lost her family and how she got separated from the Green Place, and we really dive into that early on. I mean, a significant portion of this film is really exploring like Furiosa's childhood. Before we even get to like Anya Taylor-Joy showing up and taking over as an older version of that character. But dude, like, first of all, I got to give George Miller major props. The guy is 80 years old, and he shows no signs of slowing down when it comes to these Mad Max movies. The guy just has a firm grasp on what these movies are like. Whether it's the white hot like road warring sequences that are thrilling and exciting, or when it comes to his writing skills, where he's able to flesh out these characters, which in most cases in these types of movies, you would expect them to be cardboard cutouts and one-dimensional characters. Like, he just has a natural ability to craft some of the most exciting sequences, but then also have the story arcs in place to create some weight and put some stakes on the table when these events take place. So he's the master of the apocalyptic world, and creating characters and thrilling sequences in these movies. In my opinion, he's 5 for 5. We'll talk about whether or not we'll get to 6 or 6, or whether or not this is really 5 of 5. But I think the guy just continues to show he is one of the best in the biz when it comes to these Mad Max movies.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Tone, like, overall, man, what were your thoughts on the movie when you walked out of the theater? I mean, it's easy to compare it to Fury Road because that's the most recent one. And I think that's a good starting point for in terms of like comparisons.
Honestly, I enjoyed the film overall. Like, I do feel like it is a better Thor film than Love and Thunder. That's my current joke. Somebody asked how heavy metal was it, and I said, honestly, this to me is right around 8.5 to 9.25 if you're looking at a 10. I feel like Fury Road for me was a 10, hands down.
Oh, yeah.
Hands down. And this is really, really close to that, but it just doesn't hit that, and I feel like it's partly due to, while the car scenes are awesome, like that whole, like, all that stuff's fun and great.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like it took up as much as, of course, Fury Road. Like,
right.
That was one thing about Fury Road is you got a lot of that. And
it was like it was basically a 2-hour chase movie.
Which is, hey, it is a different movie, and we're telling a story
absolutely
about Furiosa. And honestly, like, I love that.
It's going to be one of those nights where we're just going to keep getting disconnected. So stay with us. We're not going anywhere, but Spectrum is clearly just saying, you know what? You overpay for our service. We're going to suck. Continue, please, Tone.
Anya Taylor-Joy, I feel like she's not Charlize Theron. Let's preface that. I mean, clearly not, right? She's still kind of newer in this realm. But what I will say is I felt like from somebody who has been in a lot of different type of movies that really haven't been action, I feel like she's got a pretty good fit here. Now, I honestly enjoyed her take on Furiosa. But it's different too because it's a younger version of her, so she's going through the growth periods.
Yeah.
She looks a little bit. I mean, honestly, there's some scenes where she really looks like Charlize Theron, which was
Yeah.
really freaking creepy. And I don't know, I didn't look this up, but she mentioned that there was a dial that they had. I don't know how much that's true or accurate.
In terms of like putting her face on the
Right,
yeah.
like on Charlize Theron to kind of mix some things. So that kind of made more sense, I guess,
Oh.
if that's the case.
I didn't hear about that portion.
Well, she mentioned something about it on like Colbert or something like that, and I was like,
I know she mentioned it with when the younger version of Furiosa, like before Anya Taylor, like the
Okay.
younger girl, that they'd use some kind of like movie magic to kind of put her face on that girl.
okay,
As opposed to that, trying to make her like. I didn't see the part about Charlize Theron. I just know like when it comes to making Anya Taylor-Joy look like the little girl, they did some movie magic.
yeah.
with that.
So I don't know if there was like she alluded to that. I didn't think about that before actually talking about the movie, but here we are, anyways. But no, I enjoyed the movie a lot. It was really fun. Chris Hemsworth, I'm a big fan of actors who outside of like whatever they're doing seem very approachable, are very funny, witty.
Mm-hmm.
Like you see them in interviews and they're just naturally, that's kind of Chris Hemsworth. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't take himself seriously in most things, I feel like, and that's why I always really enjoyed him. He does great in this role. It's nice to see him do something different. Like,
yes.
Thor like is kind of a package. You're in Disney, you got to do a certain way. This allowed him to be a little bit weird. He had like this little weird like dialogue or what's the word, accent that worked really well. It was great and really enjoyable. And when he was talking about this in an interview, he talked about how important that these movies are, and we forget this, that these take place in Australia. This is an important franchise for Australians. They really don't have anything that's like big blockbustery like that. So
And George Miller has always tried to respect that and keep that part of it like intact.
yeah, which is pretty cool because I don't ever really think about that as much, right?
Right.
But that is something that he's actually really championed. He said he's always been a fan of the films and things.
Actually, it's always
been
been set in Australia.
right,
Yeah,
right.
very-
And we
sorry,
forget.
continue.
I think we forget that.
We do,
pretty
for
frequently.
sure.
And he apparently his dad was originally on like one of the first movies and stuff like that. Like there's pictures of his dad he's got like when he was on part of
Hemsworth's dad?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's kind of like a full circle moment as well too to be involved with what he's done. And
That's pretty
I
dope.
guess there's even some people that were on set for the first like extras that were also extras on this and stuff like that as well too.
George
So-
Miller likes doing that, man. He likes to bring back people who are
Right.
familiar with it.
which again brings me to that next piece, which is just like you said, man, it's George Miller. Like he has an extra layer of love and care for the things that he does and little details and stuff like that, and just it's what makes these movies so enjoyable, especially these last two here, is that it's about little things that they do that are so extra that make these movies just feel larger than life. Whether it's literally, I mean, on the nose, the car chasings, the explosions, and all the other shit, but like, at the end of the day, like it's crazy ass people in a crazy ass world,
Yeah.
and still an enjoyable story that they're telling as well too, with all kinds of great action and moments of levity. And man, I don't know, like it's a great fucking film. Like bottom line, is it Fury Road? It is not Fury Road.
Yeah, no.
Does that mean it's not great? Absolutely not. It is really close to that. But you can't. Lightning doesn't always strike twice, and that's perfectly fine. Great film, and everybody needs to go to the movie theaters as fast as you can to see it twice.
See, I feel like Fury Road, like you said, it's like one of those rare occasions where something just comes on. It's just unique. It's special in so many different ways, and it really kind of like raised the benchmark. I feel like action films before John Wick, like it was one of those ones where it was just like, we're setting a tone with this, and this is going to be some wild shit. And the thing that I've always respected about George Miller is his love for practical effects and using high death-defying stunts. And he's one of the few directors in Hollywood who will focus more on the practical stuff first and then come in with CGI to enhance the scenes or enhance the surrounding settings or what they're going through or weather effects or what have you. But by all accounts, what you're seeing happening is actually happening to a degree with some added like nuances with the special effects. I love that he does that, and I love his attention to detail in that regard. To kind of piggyback what you said, I do think Anya Taylor-Joy is fine as Furiosa. I thought she was a really good choice to play a young Furiosa. I just don't think she gets the best material that George Miller's ever written for a character. Charlize Theron was given some just really compelling scenes, some really great scenes to kind of flesh out that version of Furiosa, the older version of Furiosa. I feel like there was a lot of opportunity here to kind of really show how Furiosa's past molded her into the person that she becomes in Fury Road. You see a couple of scenes, and there are a couple of scenes that are very impactful that you can see how it would scar her, but you don't see that transition over time. You don't see that just kind of evolving more and more. It's just kind of like she's there in the action sequences. She develops some friendships, and you get to see bits and pieces of it. I just don't think it's as focused of a story for Furiosa as I would have liked from Fury Road.
Fair.
But it's still she's more than game, and I think she's really, really good as Furiosa. I just feel like the character development for her character was kind of, I don't want to say substandard, just not quite at the heights of what we saw in Fury Road. Hemsworth, on the other hand, he's having a fucking blast hamming it up. He is committed to it. I think he loves the idea that he can finally do something different. He takes some chances. You can tell he's taking chances, but the thing that makes it work is that the way it conveys to the audience. He is into it. He's having fun with it as the completely unhinged Dementus. Like, he is a fucking crazy ass dude. He's basically like this rogue wanderer who kind of like takes over Gastown, and then he just gets like this aspirations to take over all of the wasteland. Like, he's just trying to plot all these things to like get the what are they called? You got Gastown, you had Bullet Farm, and you have the Citadel. But you have these. He's trying to turn all these clans against one another so he can overtake everything and be in charge. Like, he is a really, really good villain, and I feel like he's given some of the better material to kind of really showcase his ability and kind of makes him like more center stage. It's almost like Fury Road was called Mad Max, but Furiosa was the front and center. She was the main character, even though it was a Mad Max movie. This is a Furiosa movie, and I feel like Dementus kind of takes center stage in some cases. I mean, it still focuses mostly on Furiosa, but Dementus is given the best material and the best scenes. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like the same as Fury Road, only this time around the focus is on Dementus a little bit more than Furiosa, which I think I would have liked to have gotten more depth from Furiosa's character in terms of like her story arc.
Especially once the dust settles, like, because towards the end they kind of rush through to where she's at going into Fury Road even too.
Oh yeah, they really want to make that connection. But you know, the other thing about this movie, and you mentioned it, the action sequences, they're white hot, and they're thrilling, and you know, there are several of them through this movie too. Like, it is really fun and it's really exciting. I will say the final showdown between Furiosa and Dementus is a little anticlimactic, but I do think it's fitting for the character that Furiosa is becoming. She's not all hell-bent on killing everybody. She has unique ways of getting the revenge she's looking for in a different way than what you would expect from like somebody in a lawless world like the Wasteland. So, I mean, it is a little bit different. It's a little bit more, I don't want to say art housey, but it's just a different approach that they did for the ending. Like, I was really expecting some major fireworks when they finally meet up, and you're just like, okay, here we go. Here comes the big showdown. There's a couple of cool things in there, but by all accounts, the way that it all comes together and the way that it ends, it's definitely a different type of ending than I was expecting.
Right, because it's almost like the way that was going with Dementus is that he'd already whittled himself down to being weak as a villain.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, because he had kind of like lost control of everything else. So like by the time she gets to him, I mean, it's like you're chasing almost after a ghost at that point.
Right.
There isn't much.
He's a shell of the person he was when she hated him.
Yeah. So like, that's a good way of looking at it. I guess I didn't really think about that as well too, and it kind of makes sense. And I feel like it was more again of a showpiece, not necessarily. I mean, it was to help her get what she was looking for.
Yeah.
But I almost feel like it was also meant to be, in kind of what you said, like more of a showpiece for him to where he had gotten to from where he had been.
Right.
So yeah, it is kind of like he took over that side of it. So.
And you kind of just see how the Wasteland, what it can do to people. I mean, Dementus has these huge goals, and you think he's just going to be this fucking like dominant force in the Wasteland, but it really just beats the shit out of him to the point where like he's on his last legs when it comes around to the finale, and you're just like, how desperate is he going to be? And whereas Furiosa, she's being more molded into this, just like I said, more this abstract, like the way she looks at things. It's not quite as cut and dry as you would think. She looks at it from a different perspective, and she handles things a little bit differently, much like the character that we saw in Fury Road. There's just certain things about her that just makes her unique in the Wasteland. Brittany says, I'm really curious about his history and why he carries that stuff. I mean, there's a lot there with Dementus. I mean, again, we spent so much time with young Furiosa, and we even see Dementus in those times, but we don't get a lot from either one of them.
Well, we know why he's got it though. He
Right, something with his daughter or his family or
right,
whatever.
Right.
But there is some more. I would love like a 3-hour director's cut. I really would. Even though we do know there is a Chrome version, he is doing another one like on Fury Road. He's going to have a Chrome version. Yo, sorry I'm late. Apparently we might get frostbite. I had to cover the Oh shit, really? I better tell my wife. For real?
What?
Oh man, hope my wife knows that shit.
Get that weather bug up. What's up? We getting frost tonight? What about all my flowers?
Damn, is that for real?
Is that for real? Trick you playing.
God damn it, dude. I don't know if I got to go upstairs and tell my wife that, man, because she'll want to fucking cover that stuff because she has everything out there.
Well, she's going to be joining us here shortly, isn't she?
Shut the fuck up. Damn it. That's fucked up. All right, well, hopefully she knows. I mean, she watches the weather. She knows all that shit. But now, to allude to what Jay Hill mentioned earlier.
Jay Hill.
Here's the weird thing about this weekend, Tone. Memorial Day weekend ticket sales in North America totaled at around 125 million, down 40% from last year. Furiosa barely emerged victorious over the Garfield movie in North America this weekend.
I just want some lasagna.
With Monday's estimates, Furiosa ended up generating 26.2 million over the weekend and 32 million for the 4 days. Garfield was shockingly close behind with 24 million and 31 million over the 4 days. This is one of the worst Memorial Day weekends in nearly 3 decades, excluding the 2020 year when theaters were closed due to COVID. This is one of the worst Memorial Day weekends in 30 years in terms of box office performance.
So it was 40% drop from last year. Is that what you just said?
It was
40% drop from last year. Okay.
Yep.
What came out last year Memorial Day? Do you remember?
I do not remember what came out last year.
Motherfucker.
I know.
I wonder because I want for one I want to see that.
Nope.
Two, even if it's a 40%.
Even if it's
drop,
a 40% drop, it's the worst in 30 years.
That's like saying something generally though. Yeah. Like that's just because that's what combined we're looking at a little over 80 million for 2 movies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you know what else?
Plus everything else that's kind of like
just kind of hanging out there as
before
well
it hits digital next week. But here's the thing, man. Fury Road made 45 million in its opening weekend, which is not a holiday weekend, and it grossed a modest 380 million globally. So I mean, Fury Road, which is weird because 2015 is when Fury Road came out, and I do think part of the reason Fury Road was such a success is, first of all, that was the first Mad Max movie we had gotten in like 20-some years.
Yeah.
You know, it's been a long time since I think it was Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. I think that was like 1980-something. Little Mermaid. Okay, I mean, that makes sense why it would be down 40%. It's Disney, Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
People are going to go out and see that stuff. And Fast X. Oh, man, what a weekend that was.
Before you continue, I want to point out, but that's the kind of details right there. That's the stuff I was talking about. Like, I feel like there is not an answer to this that's just a simple answer to this. I think there's a lot of other things like that play into this instead of just one, because you're looking at Fast X, which is a huge blockbuster. Like, I mean, it pulls in a lot of people, we'll say, right? No matter what you think about it or not, they're consistently pulling a lot of people. Little Mermaid, a Disney film as well too. So you're looking at, a weekend where you've got either Furiosa to go see or Garfield. Now it's a holiday weekend, so if you ain't grilling and making stuff, yeah, right. And Mario came out around the same time last year, probably too. Is that right? But either way, if you're gonna do something, are mom and dad gonna just leave the kids at home on a long holiday weekend, or are they gonna take the kids go and see maybe some Garfield eating some fucking lasagna? Man, the only thing about that though, man, is like seriously, when was the last time we got a Garfield movie that wasn't up for like consideration for worst movie of the year? But it's fucking dude. Garfield does not have this. Is not the same as like Sonic or fucking Mario. Garfield is garbage. But, I mean, like that, the movies have been historically fucking terrible and bombs at the box office. How the fuck can that even come close to being in the same conversation as Furiosa? Where are all the people that enjoyed Fury Road? That's what I want to know. Yeah. And like I said, man, I don't know if it's because when Fury Road came out, again, it was the first time in like 20, 30 years that we got a Mad Max movie. Cool, hype. You have Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy. Now, look, I'm not sitting there saying that Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy are major box office draws. A lot of the success of their movies have come
because of the IPs that they're associated with, specifically Tom Hardy, Venom movies. He's riding that Venom hype to that success of making all the money. Not a lot of time does Tom Hardy's biker movie that comes out this summer is not going to hit the same numbers as fucking Venom.
Right, but when did Fury Road come out? Like
2015.
Right, but did it come out on Memorial Day weekend?
No.
That's the point I'm trying to make. Like, we're talking about a holiday weekend here.
Yeah,
as
but
well,
dude, when you bring movie, look what they just said. I mean, those movies all came out last Memorial, and they made a metric fuck ton of money.
But again, this isn't fucking Guardians of the Galaxy. This isn't Fast X.
It's the first franchise. It's the kickoff of the summer movies. We haven't had a big blockbuster in a couple of months.
I think this is not an answer that's just simple to answer.
Sure.
I think there's there's
not.
a lot of things at play here. You know, again, like if the kids want to go see a fucking movie, Garfield's the only one out, so mom and dad like, well, I'm not spending 2 movie tickets. You know what I'm saying? Like, they've got to spend their money. Those people from 2015, they have kids now. They're taking them to see Garfield, right? So
plus the price of the movies is probably about $40 higher than it was when they were around.
Who really knows? Like, you know, it remains to be seen. I'm curious. You know, like she says, like maybe they'll go this weekend. Let's see where this weekend lays. I guess I don't know if it'll change. Like, because again, then you got to wonder like. People spent their fucking money on Memorial Day weekend, but
that's true.
Guardians of the Galaxy, when you're talking to compare last year, that still made the $28 million last year on Memorial Day weekend. Mario out, Fast X. That's a lot of fucking movies that would like, even if this came out. I mean, think of how much money this would have not made last year.
Yeah.
And not only that, you're talking about $45 million the first weekend it came out as Fury Road. If you account all the interesting things that could be at play at this, $26.2 million. Is low, but like it's not far off the mark from its first time either.
Yeah,
that's only fucking 20 million or whatever it is.
But considering the buzz that Fury, again, that's what I don't get, man. When you look at Fury Road, all the buzz that it generated, I mean, it got I think it got nominated for a couple of Oscars for like special effects.
Yeah,
like
it's fucking
weird.
It
made big money. It was one of the best reviewed action movies like of all time. Like there was a lot of buzz behind that, and how that does not continue forward with this. Like Spectrum is edging right now. It's edging. It's like hold it, cut it.
Yep.
Hold it. Apologize, guys and girls. It's just going to be a thing throughout the evening. Apparently, Spectrum just can't get their shit together. But I lost my train of thought. What I was saying.
You were saying Chris Hemsworth, Thor.
Chris Hemsworth, like Thor, he rode the Thor, the Marvel. I mean, that's what they're there to see. They're there to see Marvel and Thor. Not necessarily Hemsworth. And like the other biggest movie of his is on Netflix. Is those Extraction movies? Why do I think it's my phone? It's you know what, Jay Hill, it is your phone. I'm gonna blame your phone for this show cutting in and out. Damn you! Oh, it's not Jay Hill, it's Brittany. I'm not blaming you, Britt. You're fine.
I am.
But no, it's weird, man. Like, is it because it was a prequel? Does it not have the appeal of the Charlize Therons and the Tom Hardys? Are people just fucking,
or is it other external things?
Is there other things? I mean, right now it's the box office. Like Hollywood is fucking weird right now, man. We now in the last month have 2 movies. One of them was kind of being a lot of buzz on it. The Fall Guy with Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt has gone from being in theaters for 2 weeks to on digital already on digital to buy it for $24.99 as opposed to going to the theater and dropping $70 for popcorn for the kids and all this and that. The Strangers, by accounts, just a terrible fucking movie all around, in theaters for 3 weeks, already out on digital. So it's like, if you don't hit that home run that first weekend, you might as well just say good luck. You're heading to digital real fast. And I just don't know, man, like, and we and I were talking about before the show, I gotta believe Hollywood, these studios, these publishers are going, hey, look, if we're not making enough money at the theater, we need to get the fuck out of there and get to digital, where people either can rent it or buy it. I think most of the time you can rent for $20, buy it for $25. I want to see the numbers from that. I want to see just how much they're recouping from these at home. Because, dude, everyone can watch on their phone. There are billions of phones out there.
They're not sharing that info, are they?
I want to know how many people are buying these movies on digital and watching it on their phone or watching it on their TV. I want to see these numbers, man, because I feel like when you have all these people with phones, whether it's through iTunes or Amazon or whatever, and they're buying these movies at $25 a pop, I want to see how much money they're making. That's a pretty good $25 is a nice little, for one person.
You gotta wonder, because when you think about it, like if 2 people go to this movie theater, it's about $25 without popcorn,
without
without anything from the concessions, right? If people are waiting to do that at home, I mean, that's still like because the theater's the one that makes all the extra bullshit.
Yeah.
So that's probably why they don't want to release those numbers because then it almost makes the theater look like you're obsolete.
Right.
Which they saw during COVID.
Like I want when it's all said and done, I'm gonna keep a close eye on the stories talking about like Fall Guy and ultimately Furiosa Mad Max Saga, where it ends up in terms of its budget when that thing hits digital. I want to know what they're doing business-wise from the digital front. We already know box office is very hit or miss. Unless you're fucking Marvel or something big like that, it's hard to make any money.
It's almost like those long-time, like, big money franchises are making it harder for these other bigger blockbusters. I mean, again, like, we don't know what is going on. Like, there's so many reasons that could be the answer to this, and it might be 3-4 answers instead of just one or two, but we'll have to wait and see. It'll be interesting because now you saw the information or the news Mission Impossible.
Oh yeah, we'll get into that.
Okay,
we'll get into that.
Yep, I do want to say real quick, Trick, you asked Mason like taking his new girlfriend to go see a movie, but he ain't take his buddy Tone. What's up with that? What up? What's up?
Man, I feel fucking slighted on that.
Yeah,
man. That's cool. That's
right?
cool, man.
Didn't even take Dad probably. No Empire Walk for you.
But I mean, overall, man, like it's just disappointing, to hear this movie. I mean, it's gonna be very difficult for this movie to make its money back. Breaking even is probably what they're hoping for, best case scenario, unless it picks up overseas. Or like you said, this weekend we don't have any major releases this week, and nothing like. I mean, In a Violent Nature is not going to be considered a major release. It's going to be a very niche audience. It's basically kind of like a limited run. My understanding is like it's just a couple. I mean, it's just one screen in our theater, the couple of viewings throughout the week, and that thing's going to hit Shudder in probably a month. So I mean, there's this weekend is for the taking. I mean, it could make a nice second leap or a second week increase. I mean, usually these movies tend to like drop off in the following week. Could be a possibility that it could maybe a little uptick in viewership. But then next week you got Bad Boys, and then you got just, you're starting to get to that summer.
What you gonna do when they come for you?
That summer slate of movies coming up. So I mean,
we'll
if
see.
you don't hit a home run that first week, and I feel like, man, immediately the studios are going, when can we get this thing on digital? Is this thing ready to go?
The last thing we'll say to kind of go with that is, it'll be interesting to see how the summer goes because overall, and we said this a week or two ago, like there's not a huge amount of blockbusters coming out this year that are like big, heavy ass hitters. So it's going to be an interesting summer to see how a lot of this plays out going forward.
We're going to get into our summer preview here shortly. And connect. Oh, there. We could at least Spectrum. You could at least be consistent with the time frames. If you want to do every 10 minutes, have a cutout. Every 20 minutes, not go 20 and then 5.
Pay your internet bill.
Fuck Spectrum.
What the fuck was I saying? Oh yeah, I think since COVID, I think that the way that the world, whether movie, TV, I feel like everything is still kind of hitting that peak. I think all the idea people sat down because they know what's better to do, and these TV shows. That's why we're seeing such huge leaps in like TV production and everything too, because they're seeing these streaming services, and that again, maybe that's another symptom to what's going on at the movie theaters. People are really enjoying the consuming at home on their own time, whether it's TV, whether it's movie, and you got TV shows that are coming out, and they're doing like, you're getting basically more than 2.5 hour movies, so that means you're getting content with, in not all cases clearly, but some great character development, some elongated story, all that such as well too. So yeah, I think TV right now is hotter than hell. So
one last thing I want to point out, Jeff says no Bad Boys for me. I just don't think they can take the franchise anywhere. Wasn't the last one like wasn't that like super like revered by critics like the last one?
Yeah, the last one was
like I remember when that came out, I was like, man, there's no way this movie's gonna be good.
That movie ended up being hotter than hell.
It ended up being like really good, well received, made good money.
Maybe they can't, and maybe they can, but I'm still here for it. I mean, they've all been great. They've all been consistently enjoyable films.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And they've got those two got.
Second one's a little sus.
It's a little long in the tooth, but like because I feel like that had like 2 or 3 endings before you got to the end.
Yeah.
It's a little long in the tooth, but like they just have such good chemistry.
Oh yeah,
that it just works.
That's
out.
why they bring them back to every.
You know what I mean?
All the time,
and so we'll see. I'm still gonna see it just because I've been invested in it. I mean, I saw the first one in the theater in the '90s. Like
I did too. I saw it in the theater.
Not gonna stop now at this point. So, and who knows? Maybe it'll still, hey, they've got a fucking Beverly Hills Cop coming out. So
let's talk about that too. I'll be curious to get your thoughts on that. All right, but hey, we want to get you guys and girls' thoughts. If you went and saw Furiosa, or if you're please go see it this weekend if you haven't seen it yet. But if you have seen it, let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you're watching on YouTube or if you're listening on Spotify or iTunes, let us know your thoughts on Furiosa, Mad Max Saga. If you didn't really enjoy it, what didn't you like about it? Let us know in the comments. How would you compare it? Where does it stack up?
Why didn't you go see it if you didn't see it yet?
Yeah, why the fuck didn't you go see this movie, and why'd you go see Garfield instead? That's what I really want to know. If you went and saw Garfield and you don't have kids, instead of seeing this, we're going to have fucking money. If you have kids, I get it. I actually was going to take my kids to see Mad Max on Monday and not Garfield. I was going to take them to go, but we ended up not going. But I would have taken my kids to Mad Max before I take them to a fucking Garfield movie. That's all I'm saying.
Dad of the year.
Trick says for $70 at home, I can cook steak and watch a movie with Dolby Surround. I mean, hey, man, I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong. And I think that plays a part in why these movies are so quick to not only not make a lot of money at the theater, but also get to home digital 2 weeks later because there is an audience there. So we want to get you guys' girls' thoughts. Let us know in the comments below. On to our next topic, Tone.